Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below and subscribe to my channel. In today's video, we'll be making a simple pencil skirt with ruffles or with frills. So without wasting much time, let's jump right into the tutorial. I'll be needing about 1.5 yards of fabric for this tutorial. So we're going to be cutting out the front panel first before we go ahead to cut out the back panel. So I have my fabric folded into two already. The full length of my skirt is 18 inches. So I took out 2 inches at the top because I'll be adding a band to the waist. So, and I added 2 extra inches to the base for folding because I won't be adding lining to the skirt. So go ahead to mark out a line at the top of your fabric. So this line is going to serve as our starting line and it's also going to be our waistline. So the next thing you want to do now is to mark out your vertical measurements. So place your tape roll 2 inches above the waistline because of the waistband. So from my waist to my hip measurements is 9 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark 9 inches. Then the length of my skirt is 16 inches. Then I'll go ahead and add additional 2 inches at the base for folding. So next thing I want to do now is to draw out lines, to draw horizontal lines on the points I marked. So after rolling out the horizontal lines, the next thing to do now is to place the horizontal measurements. I'll just go ahead to label the lines. The next thing I want to do now is to place our horizontal measurements. That is the round body measurement. So my waist measurement is 38 inches divided by 4, that is 9.5 inches. Then I'll go ahead and add additional 2 inches to each, making 11.5 inches, and I'll mark it on the line. So on the hip line, my hip measurement is 46 inches divided by 4, that is 11.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark it, and I'll add additional 2 inches for seam allowance, which is 13.5 inches. So I'll connect the waistline to the hip line. So on the full length of the skirt, I'll subtract 1.5 inches from the hip measurement, making 12 inches. So I'll go ahead and connect the points together. So on the seam, on the allowance I left for folding, I'm going to add 1 inch to the full length. I'm going to add 1 inches to it, and I'll connect both points together. This is because I'll be folding in the base, so I want it to be equal after folding. The next thing to do now is to place your dart measurement. Come in by 4 inches, mark the point, then I'll come down by another 4 inches. Then I'll take out ½ inch on both sides of the waistline, and I'll connect the points together to form the dart. So I used the front panel to cut out the back panel, and I added additional 2 inches to it for zip allowance. So I'll go ahead and notch the dart point on the front panel and on the back panel before I open it up. So after opening up, this is what it looks like. This is the back panel. It's cut into 2 pieces because we're going to be adding zip to it. So the next thing to do is to close up the dart point, the point that was notched. So go ahead to close it up. I'll do it for this piece and I'll do it for the front panel also. So after doing that, I would fold in the base to give it a neat finishing. I'll fold in the base and sew it all the way down. I'll repeat the same thing for this side and also do it for the front panel. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So I've sewed in the darts for the front panel, and this is what it looks like. And I went ahead to iron it too. This is the wrong side and this is the right side. I also finished up the base. I also did the same thing for the back panel. I closed up the darts and I finished the base. So this is the other piece of fabric. So the next thing I want to do now is to place my horizontal measurement, my round body measurement on the front panel. So because I'll be placing it on the front panel alone, I'll be dividing by 2. So my round waist measurement is 38 inches divided by 2, that is 19 inches. So I have about 21 inches here. So that means I'll be taking out 1 inch on both sides of the fabric, since I have 2 inches extra from 19. So I'll go over to my hip line now. My hip measurement is 46 inches divided by 2, that is 23 inches. I have about 26 inches on the fabric, so I'll be taking out 1.5 inches on both sides because I have 3 inches excess. So I'll go ahead and connect the points together. So on the full length of this skirt, I'll just come in by 1.5 inches on both sides. Then I'll connect it down to the hip line. The next thing I want to do now is to join our front piece and our back pieces together. So I've marked the horizontal measurement on the wrong side of the fabric. So the next thing I want to do now is to place my back panel underneath the front panel, right side facing each other. I'm going to go ahead now and place it under it this way. Now match the edges together. So you can use your safety pin to secure it, or you can just go ahead to sew it that way. So I'll repeat the same thing for the other side. I'll place it under it, right side facing each other. Like this. The next thing you want to do now is take it over to your sewing machine and sew it all the way down, following the line we marked. Sew it all the way down. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So after attaching the front panel and the back panel together, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. So go ahead now to open up the fabric. The next thing we want to do now is to mark out the points where we'll be attaching our frills to. The points we'll be attaching the ruffles to. So open up your fabric this way. So the first thing you want to do, you come to the upper part from the waistline and come down by 1 inches. Come down by 1 inch. So from that point, I'll come down to the waist, to the hip line, and I'll come in by 1 inch. So we're cutting on the left, we're marking on the left side of the fabric. So I'll go ahead now to the right side. So from the lower seam, I'm going to come up by 1 inch. So what I'm going to do now is to connect the 3 points I've marked together. So from the waistline, I came down by 1 inch. I'll connect it to the hip line. Then I'll form a curve to meet the other point. So I came up by 1 inch from the seam, from the lower seam. So I'll connect all the points together. So I'll come back to the left side of the fabric. So come back now to the left side of the fabric. Then on the hip line, you come out again by 1 inch on the same hip line. Then depending on the point where you want your frills to stop. So I want my own to stop 3 inches above the full length of the skirt, or 2.5 inches above the full length of the skirt. So I'll go ahead and mark 2.5 inches there. Then I'll connect the waist point down to the hip line, then down to the full length to form a curve. I'll connect it all the way down to form a curve. So go over to the right side of the skirt. So since I marked 2.5 inches up at the left, on the left side, I'll come up by 2.5 inches on the right side. Then I'll go ahead and connect the 2 points together. So you can decide to make yours as high as 3 inches, 4 inches, depending on how and where you want the frills to stop at the back. So after connecting all the points together, go ahead now to close the fabric up so that we can see what we've achieved and to know if we're on the right track. So close up the fabric. So after closing up, this is what it looks like on the front panel, and this is what it looks like on the back panel. So from the lines that we've drawn, we can see that we are on the right track. See that we're on the right track. So the next thing to do now is to cut out the frills to attach to the skirt. So to get the amount of fabric you'll be needing for your ruffles, go ahead to measure the line you drew on the skirt. So place your tape rule and measure the line on the skirt. So for this first part, I have 41 inches. So I'll go ahead and measure the other part. So for this part, I have 19 inches. So 41 inches plus 19 inches, that is 16 inches. So I'll be cutting 60 inches times 2, which is 120 inches, because it's going to be in form of a ruffle. So after cutting out the fabric, this is what we have. So I cut out 2 pieces of 60 inches long fabric. So I have to place, so when I join them together, that will be 120 inches. And the fabric is 10 inches wide. So before I go ahead to join it together, let me show you guys how to attach it to your skirt. So open up your fabric this way. So on this line I marked, I'm going to come in by 2 inches. Remember that we left 2 inches for our zip allowance. So that is where the ruffles is going to start. It's going to start from 2 inches, from the 2 inches mark. Then I'll come to the other side too and come in by 2 inches. So it's going to stop there. This is because so that when we close up the fabric at the back, the ruffle is going to end there. So go ahead and place your cutout fabric on your skirt, starting from the 2 inches mark. So I'll take it to my sewing machine. Place the right side facing each other. So while you're attaching the ruffle to the skirt, while you're attaching the fabric to the skirt, you keep gathering the fabric. You make clusters and sew it down on the line. You sew it down on the line. So you cluster the fabric this way, you gather it this way, and attach it to your skirt, following the line we drew. So when I'm done with it, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after attaching the ruffles to the skirt, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. You can see how beautiful it looks. So the next thing we want to do now is to go ahead and cut out our band, our waistband. So the first thing you want to do is to fold your fabric into two this way. Fold your fabric into two. So place the skirt on the fabric for the band and come up by 2.5 inches. The half inches is the sewing allowance. So mark 2.5 inches all the way down. So after marking it, this is what we have. So I'll go ahead now to cut it out. So after cutting out the waistband, this is what it looks like. So I'm going to be using this one to cut out the second one. So I finished cutting out the two pieces of the waistband, and this is what we have. So before I open it up, I'll go ahead to notch it at the center. That is the closed angle. So that when I'm attaching it to the skirt, I'll know the center point. So the next thing to do now is to place the right side facing each other. Then I'll sew it all the way down on one side. Sew it all the way down. I'm supposed to add interfacing to one point part of it, but I won't be doing that in this tutorial. So after joining the two pieces of the waistband together, this is what it looks like. So I can go ahead and iron it. So I'll take my skirt now and fold it into two like this. Then I'll notch the center. This is to make attaching the band easier for me, because I did the same thing on the waistband. So what you want to do now is take your waistband and place it. So this, you're placing the right side facing the wrong side of the skirt. Then match the 2 points where you notched together. Then take your pin and pin it down. Then pin it all the way down. So I've secured the waistband to the skirt using my pins. Don't forget, I placed the right side of the waistband facing the wrong side of the skirt. And the next thing I want to do now is take it to my sewing machine and sew it all the way down using 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So after attaching the first part of the waistband, this is what we have. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to close it up this way. So while I'm sewing, I'm going to take in 1/4 inch fold. Then I'll sew directly on the waistline. Sew it all the way down. When I'm done with that, I'm going to give it a good press and I'll show you guys what it looks like when I'm done. So after fixing the band, this is what we have. I'm gonna ahead to also iron it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to close it up this way. Close up the fabric this way. Then for my zip, I'm going to come down by 7 inches from the waistband. I'll go ahead and mark 7 inches from the waistband. Then from that 7 inches point, I'll come in by 2 inches. Remember, we took in 2 inches zip allowance at the back panel. So what I'm going to do now is to sew it all the way down. I'm going to close it up all the way down because our skirt won't be having a slit. So after closing it up, this is what it looks like. This is the front part and this is the back part. So the next one we want to do now is to insert our zip. So to attach the zip, go ahead and open up the zip first. Then place it on your fabric this way. Then go ahead to sew it in so that it will look like this. Then when you're done with that part, place the other side this way also and sew it in. So guys, this is the finished product of our pencil skirt with ruffles. You can see how beautiful it looks and how easy it is to make. So I'll go ahead now and finish the base of the ruffled part. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.